What's going on, everybody? This is Mortym, and I'm pretty excited to tell you guys that I got into the Elder Scrolls Legends beta. I'm pretty sure it's not an open beta yet. However, I do know it has been in beta for at least a little while, but I recently got invited, and I was more excited to show you guys than anything else. So, to start with, I'm going to go take a look at some of the cards and stuff and just kind of familiarize you guys with some of these concepts before I actually jump into gameplay and explain some of the mechanics that affect the actual game play itself. Now, to start with, there are 5 attributes, and they are strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, endurance, and then there are 2 more categories for cards that are dual attributes, which are 2 of these obviously, and neutral cards. So that's important because you can only build the deck from 2 attributes. As you can see over here, this one is wisdom and willpower and agility. So you can only build a deck from 2 of these, and you can get the dual attribute cards that match both. So if you're using like an intelligence and a strength deck, the dual attribute actually has to be strength and intelligence. You can't like mix and match just because it has one. It has to have both with the dual attribute cards. That said, the dual attribute cards are usually very strong, so you're going to want those. The neutral cards mostly are going to be items, actions, and random animals. So actions are something your hero, character, or whatever is doing themselves. That's something you're doing. Items are things you're actually giving to your cards, your creatures, as might be obvious. So clicking into a deck I just recently built. So it's worth noting you can actually go in and take a look at this, and you can change your portrait and stuff. I thought that was cool. Just a little side note. So this is a willpower and agility deck. Now I'm using 1 dual attribute card, Master of Thieves. Like I said, it has to match both. So from here, I wanted to talk about basically just some of the keywords, as they call them on the cards themselves, which are going to be things like drain and the effects and stuff like that. Drain gives you health when you attack things for the amount you did, which is, a lot of this stuff is really common strategy card game stuff. They just wanted to call them something different, so I just figured I would glance over that. Summon is like a battle cry effect, so whenever you play it, it does that effect. Shackle is, it just keeps them from attacking on their next turn. Guard is basically like your taunt. You have to attack that card first if you're in that particular area. And just stuff like that. Pilfer is cool when you attack a hero directly, your enemy opponent, or if you will, whatever, you know, them. When you attack them with Pilfer, you get that extra effect. So if this guy were to attack my opponent directly, I draw a card. I have a legendary card over here, or a super rare, whatever you want to call it, Pilfer. And when this guy attacks the opponent, he gets +4/+4, which is incredibly strong. So I thought that was a really cool card. Now, a lot of it's just stuff like that, and you'll notice that when you mouse over the card, it does actually explain what those keywords are and what they do. So I just wanted to mention that real fast. So now that we've got that covered, also real quick side note, you can have 70 cards max, 50 minimum. Obviously, people are going to go more towards 50 because you get a little more consistency with that. And while we're on this screen, before we move on, if you click on Soul Sight, which is this card here, it shows you all the cards you don't have as well. And then if you click into them, using the currency of Soul Gems, because this is ESO of course, you can either create them or destroy them and kind of create cards in a very similar fashion to Hearthstone, let's be honest. So, other than that, you can also add the premium thing, which I haven't actually got any of these, but as you can see, they just have a little effect. That's all that means. So that is going to wrap it up with the actual card section. I'm going to go into a practice game just to show you guys kind of the general layout of things. This isn't meant to be like a super hardcore versus game thing or anything. Or a gameplay video, I should say. So we're just going to click into practice here. We're going to use the deck I made just a bit ago. So here is your basic gameplay arena. Now, it's important to note before we get started here that there are 2 lanes. Now, best I can tell from playing through the story, which I highly recommend you do, by the way, but I'll get to that in a minute. There are 2 lanes, and best I can tell, pretty much every game is going to be your regular lane, which you put all of your creatures into. There's nothing special, you just put them there, they attack. Now, the only thing that's worth noting there is that a creature in a lane can only attack creatures in its lane. So, as you can see by the blue divider here, I can't attack this lane with guys from this lane. Pretty straightforward stuff, but the shadow lane, on the other hand, it applies cover when you first put creatures into it, which is basically means they can't be attacked. So you might want to put more sensitive guys in there, people you don't want to die on their first turn or something like that. So, we drew a terrible hand, by the way. Now, these runes right here, every time you lose 5 health from the start of 30, it will draw a card when you lose one of these runes. And that's actually a really important gameplay factor, because not only do you draw a card, but should that card have, here it is, actually that works out, Prophecy, and you draw it from losing that rune, you can just play it for free. So if I were to lose a rune and draw this card as a result, I could just play it for free immediately. Which again, I thought was really cool. So, that's kind of some basic gameplay elements. Like I said, my hand here is terrible, so even though this is practice, I might just lose. So if you don't go first, your opponent gets an Elixir of Magicka, which you get to use 3 times. It's a support item, basically, and it gives you 1 extra Magicka every turn. So, much like, again, Hearthstone, but rather than call it mana crystals, it's actual Magicka. Every turn you gain 1 up to a maximum of 10, in a very similar fashion as that. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a quick overview. I'm not going to bore you guys with watching this entire practice match because that would be pointless. That said, I just kind of wanted to familiarize you guys with the concepts before I start putting up like any real gameplay videos I was thinking about covering. And I just kind of wanted to get this knowledge out there since it is still in beta, so not a lot of people have access to it. And just kind of show you guys what the game itself could be, if it's something you'd be interested in, that kind of thing. And bringing it back to the home screen to wrap things up a bit, there is a store, again, it's pretty much just like every other strategy card game. If I had clicked into the right one, that would help. It's pretty much the same stuff. There are arena key... Oh, my lord. I'm not used to all of these buttons, so my apologies. Here we go. This one is the store. Jeez. So, it's pretty much just like any others. You can buy arena tickets and you can buy packs. You can use the in-game currency you win through playing matches and stuff like that, of course, and you can use that to buy a single pack, or you can spend real money to buy actual packs. However, when you first start playing the game, I highly recommend that you play through the story first, because it is going to take you probably a couple hours, to be honest with you. It's kind of long. However, playing through all 20 chapters of it will give you all of the starting cards, it'll give you a good foothold, and it'll teach you about the game, so that's always helpful. And with that, the very last thing I wanted to show you is if after you do this when you first log in, if you click over here on your profile, you can actually change your avatar to any of the races associated with ESO. And that's kind of important, but not really at the same time. You know, it is just a picture for the most part, but depending upon the race you choose, it will actually give you certain types of cards randomly when you finish games. Nothing like super rare, best I can tell, and I've only actually seen it work once for me. But other than that, I just wanted to mention that it was there. You can actually see your percentage of the total collection, and every card I got so far is actually from the story. So right there, finishing the story up will give you 35% of all of the cards. So that's a good way to go. And you can click on this for general stats and stuff. And that's going to pretty much wrap up what we can see in Elder Scrolls Legends as of right now. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, I certainly hope you subscribe. But other than that, have a great day.